California to live with her father, whom she had not seen since she was 6 years old. At the time, he was working at the nearby Marine Alley Naval Shipyards in San Francisco Bay. But it didn't really work out because arguments between her and her father led to her moving out in January 1943. Shortly after that, she took a job at the exchange base at Camp Cook, now the Vandenberg Air Force Base near Lompoc, living with several friends and briefly with an Army Air Force sergeant who reportedly abused her. What was that? Okay.
Sorry, my phone just buzzed. Sorry if that
yeah, sorry.
Really silent. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Short left Laponic in mid-1943, moved to Santa Barbara, where she was arrested in September 23rd, 1943 for underage drinking at a local bar. The juvenile authorities sent her back to Medford, but she returned instead to Florida, making only occasional visits to Massachusetts. While in Florida, Short had met Major Matthew Michael Gordon Jr., a decorated Army Air Force officer with the 2nd Air Commando Group. He was training for deployment to the China, Burma, India Theater in Operations World War II. Short told friends that Gordon had written to propose marriage while he was recovering from injuries of a plane crash in India. She accepted his offer, but Gordon died in the second crash on August 10th, 1945, less than a week before the surrender of Japan that ended the war. She relocated to Los Angeles in July 1946 to visit Army Air Force Lieutenant Joseph Gordon Flickering, who she had known from Florida. Short spent the last 6 months of her life in Southern California, mostly in the Los Angeles area before her death. She'd been working as a waitress. She had rented a room behind the Florence Garden nightclub on Hollywood Boulevard. Short had been previously described and depicted as an aspiring or would-be actress. According to some sources, she did in fact have aspirations to be a film star. Throughout, she had no known acting jobs or credits.
Okay.
Yeah, so she has
did she move? So did she move out to California to chase acting? Is that the story?
No, she moved out to California to stay with her father, and also because she was having respiratory issues, so she had to be into drier, warmer climate.
I see. Okay.
So, and I guess later on, being in California, you get a little starstruck. You want to start getting aspirations to be a famous actor.
Sure. I mean, from her picture, she's somewhat attractive female. She's in her 20s. She's in California. It only makes sense.
Right. So right before her murder, on January 9th, 1947, Short returned to her home in Los Angeles after a brief trip to San Diego with Robert Red Manley, a 25-year-old married salesman she had been dating. Manley stated that he dropped Short off at the Bitmore Hotel located at 506 South Grand Avenue in downtown Los Angeles, and that Short was to meet her sister, who was visiting from Boston that afternoon. By some accounts, staff at the Bitmore recalled having seen Short and using the lobby telephone. Shortly after, she was allegedly seen by patrons of the Crown Grill Cocktail Lounge on South Olive Street, which is a fourth of a mile away from the Bitmore Hotel. So that was the last time anyone had seen her.
Okay.
On the knife. Now here comes on the morning on January 15th, 1947, Short's naked body was found severed into two pieces on a vacant lot on the west side of South Norton Avenue, midway between Coliseum Street and West 39th Street in Leimert Park, Los Angeles. At the time, the neighborhood had been largely undeveloped, like I had said before. Local resident Betty Bismeiser, I'm screwing up that name, discovered the body at approximately 10 a.m. while walking with her 3-year-old daughter. Betty initially thought she had found a discarded store mannequin. When she realized it was a corpse, she rushed to a nearby house and telephoned police.
God. Can you imagine approaching this thing, thinking it's a mannequin?
Oh, God, no. Absolutely not. Yeah, it is. Short, severely mutilated body was completely severed at the waist and drained of blood, leaving her skin a placid white. Medical examiners determined she had been dead for around 10 hours prior to discovery, leaving her time of death somewhere between the evening of January 14th or the early morning hours of January 15th. The body had apparently been washed by the killer. Short's face had been slashed from the corners of her mouth to the ear, creating an effect known as the Glasgow smile. If you're familiar with the Glasgow smile, The Dark Knight, the Joker is a prime example of a Glasgow smile.
God, that's terrifying. Glasgow? Mm-hmm. Why?
Yes.
It originated from there? I'm not Googling the term.
No. What's a real life person? What's the guy's name? There's an actor, a character actor that has the glass. Oh, Tommy Fleming.
Is it like a birth defect?
No, he got into a bar fight, and somebody slashed his corner of his mouth to almost his ear.
Oh, no shit. I know this guy, yeah.
Yeah, he was in Braveheart. He was Cicero in Gladiator.
Oh, he's from Glasgow. Is that why it's called Glasgow Smile?
Kind of, yeah. I don't think they named it specifically for him, but yeah.
Interesting. I definitely know this guy. He's like a character actor.
Yeah, it's the practice started in Glasgow in the 20s and 30s, so it predates him.
Anyway,
okay, back to short. She had several cuts on her thigh and breast, where entire portions of flesh had been sliced away. The lower half of the body was positioned a foot away from the upper, and her intestines had been tucked neatly beneath her buttocks. The corpse had been posed with her hands over her head, her elbows bent at the right angles, and her legs spread apart. Upon discovery, a crowd of passersby and reporters began to gather. The Los Angeles Herald Express reporter A.G. Underwood was among the first to arrive at the scene and took several photos of the corpse and crime scenes. Near the body, detectives located a heel print on the ground and tire tracks, and a cement sack containing watery blood was also found nearby. So they begin to do the autopsy. They take the body away, begin to do the autopsy. It was performed on January 16th by Frederick Newbar, the Los Angeles County coroner. Newbar's autopsy report stated that Short was 5'5" tall and weighed 115 pounds, had light blue eyes, brown hair, and badly decaying teeth. There was a ligament scar on her ankles, wrist, and neck, and an irregular laceration of superficial tissue loss on her right breast. Newbar had noticed superficial lacerations on the right forearm, left upper arm, and lower left side of the chest. The body had been completely cut in half by a technique taught in the 1930s called hyperchoreography. I believe.
Okay, and what does that mean?
Hyperchoreography is a radical surgery in which the body below the waist is amputated.
So so her body was amputated, but you said her legs were still there, so the body was just cut in two?
They sliced, whoever did this sliced the body in half underneath her waist.
Okay, but okay, Jesus.
Yeah, this is a sick individual. This let's see. The lower half of her body had been removed by transecting the lumbar spine between the second and third lumbar vertebrae, thus severing the intestines at the duodenum. Duodenum is the first section of the small intestines in most high vertebrates, including mammals. In humans, the duodenum is a hollow jointed tube about 25 to 38 centimeters, 10 to 15 inches long, connecting the stomach to the duodenum. Oh God.
It's the worst game of Doctor ever.
Yes, this is the worst game of
Or that's
Operation
what I meant
ever.
to say. Operation.
Yeah. Newbar reported very little bruising along the incision line, suggesting it had been performed after death. Another gaping laceration measuring 4.25 inches in length ran longitudinally along the umbratus to the parapubic region. The lacerations on each side of the face was extended from the corners of the lips and measured at 3 inches on the right side of the face and 2.5 inches on the left. The skull was not fractured, but there was bruising noted on the front and right side of the scalp, with a small amount of bleeding in the subarachnoid space on the right side, consisting with blows to the head. The cause of death determined to be hemorrhaging from the lacerations to her face and shock from blows to the head and face. Newbar noted that Short's anal cavity was dilated at 44 millimeters, 1.75 inches, suggesting that she may have been raped. Samples were taken for the body testing for the presence of sperm, but the results came back negative.
So she was beaten to death, but they don't know.
Somebody hit her in the head real bad.
Yeah, but they don't know. I mean, because that
basic.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Your thoughts so far?
Just gruesome, man. Just terrible, terrible, terrible. Obviously we don't know if she was awake or alive during any of the gruesome parts.
No, they said he was already dead by the time it did the really gruesome
just
stuff.
Somebody who liked to play with a dead body. Is that what's going on here?
Pretty much someone who has medical, I'm assuming, and a lot of people who assume has medical experience that knows how to do this stuff, or like butchering experience.
Yeah.
Doing this, but this stuff seems surgical. So
it just seems too
medical.
Clean, yeah.
Yeah, it's just absolutely too clean. Prior to the autopsy, police had quickly been able to identify the victim as Short after sending copies of her fingerprints to Washington, D.C. via sound, photo, and primitive fax machine in the area, and prints matched those given by Short during her 1943 arrest. Immediately following Short's identification, reporters from William Randolph Hearst's Los Angeles Examiner contacted her mother, Phoebe Short, in Boston and told her her daughter had won a beauty contest. It was only after prying as much personal information as they could that Phoebe that the reporters revealed her daughter, in fact, had been murdered.
Right.
The newspaper offered to pay her airfare and accommodations to travel to Los Angeles to help with the police investigation. That was yet another ploy, since the newspapers kept her away from police and other reporters to protect its scoop. The Examiner and another Hearst newspaper, the Los Angeles Herald Express, later sensationalized the case with one article from the Examiner describing the black tailor suit Short was last seen wearing as a tight shirt and sheer blouse. The media nicknamed her as the Black Dahlia and described her as an adventuress who prowled Hollywood Boulevard. Additional newspaper reports, just the one published on the Los Angeles Times on January 17th, described the murder as a sex fiend slaying.
Why was she called the Black Dahlia?
Pretty much because there was this 1946 movie, The Blue Dahlia, and she was last seen wearing all black.
Okay. And what does Dahlia mean? Is that just the name of a female lady?
I think it's just I think it's just a name. I don't think it has a special meaning. I could be wrong, but
okay, got it.
Let me look.
Curious because
hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
I think it's no, it's not a flower.
No, you might be right. It might be a flower.